Welcome back to the Island of Lost Dads. We're back at it again. Today we're going to do something different. We're going to read a lot of insane comments. It has been a wild 72 hours. We're still experiencing the fallout from the Roe versus Wade debacle. And as you're seeing on the screen, R. Kelly just got sentenced, folks. I Believe I Can Fly. Yeah, it's going to be one of those. Let's get into it. All right, let's get into it. So we're gonna start today with another one coming to us from Pink Book Lessons here on YouTube. Pink Book Lessons is a channel that I really like, but lately, just the sheer level of just reactionary insanity coming out of what used to be, a relatively straightforward kind of pop culture-y / relationship channel, maybe slightly more conservative in its leanings, but I don't know. The last week, even I'm wondering why I'm still subscribed to this channel. But R. Kelly got sentenced today. I haven't read through the comments yet. I took a look and I'm like, oh my gosh. Yeah, we should talk about it. So let's get into it. I'm gonna read some comments, just give you a sense of what exactly it is we're dealing with here. Then I'm gonna flip over. We're gonna look at the actual breakdown of the case, then flip back, and then try to round this off with some sort of understanding of just what in the heck is going on here. Okay, so from Pink Book Lessons, this is the image that she posted about 5 hours ago from when this video is being recorded. R. Kelly just got sentenced to 30 years. What are your thoughts? So, 205 comments. Whew, let's dive in. So, coming to us right off the top, the only thought I have on this situation is that he did not act alone. He should not fully hold this alone. All those involved should be held accountable. Anyone who brought him the girls, covered up his paper trail, turned a blind eye for cash, served up their children, etc. 136. Am I sorting by top? I am sorting by top. Great. 136 upvotes. Very reasonable. About damn time. Fame, money, popularity should not protect bad people. I'm sorry it happened to him as a child. We'll talk about that. He revealed that he is also a victim of abuse when he was a child, but he should have got help. Totally understand. Ghislaine, which is Ghislaine Maxwell, who was a co-conspirator with Jeffrey Epstein, who definitely killed himself, got 20 years today. It's weird how she gets 10 years less, but was equally heinous. Depending on how you look at it, you could easily consider her, that what she had done was more heinous. Peace is Priceless says, well, here's my unpopular opinion. In this whole entire situation, R. Kelly alone is 1,000% to blame. I say this because he chose to do everything that he did. He could have refused or shut it down at any time. He was the master of the situation. It was always his call. As adults, we have to be accountable for our own actions because we alone are the ones who are going to have to deal with the fallout. That's what we're seeing. I'm not saying the parents or his inner circle may not have played part, but I agree he had help. Yet if he didn't make the decision to do what he did, he wouldn't have had any need for help. His terrible decisions are what got him here. There were and sometimes are a multitude of full-grown women throwing themselves at him during his whole career. It was he who chose otherwise, and he is now paying for the choices he made as a grown man. Where does this rabbit hole of everyone who helped him needs to go to jail end? Does that include anyone who bought a CD, a concert ticket, etc.? That's just my opinion. I don't know why this person thought this opinion would be unpopular. R. Kelly is 100% to blame. You're basically disregarding the accountability of those parents. That's on the police to hunt those people down. And if they have the evidence to build a case against the parents, then they should do that. I suspect it's a little bit hard to build a case against the parents because you would very likely have to prove that they knew what R. Kelly was doing or that they were in any way aware of what was happening. I imagine given the time that's gone by, it'd be pretty hard. This comment has 52 thumbs up. It says, from Jay Smith, what an effing joke. He gets 30 years, while females, usually teachers, get probation. I don't think they're running what R. Kelly was running. I remember back when I was in high school in the early 90s, my classmates were underage, knowingly dealing with drug dealers and college dudes. I was 22, 23, met an attractive lady at 2 a.m., left the club, found out later she was 16, 17. If I didn't ask if she was in school, I would have gotten caught up. So for women and simping forces to act like he's the face of predatory behavior is foolish and disingenuous. I have no idea what this person is on about. The argument is that teachers who are definitely not running international sex trafficking rings, I'm assuming this person is referring to teachers who get caught committing statutory rape with minors, get probation. I'm not even 100% sure. It's sort of been a running joke for years that depending on the attractiveness of the teacher, she would very likely receive lenience, for what is, without a doubt, statutory rape. Desmond Montgomery says, not at all surprised. I've been keeping up on the cases to give full thoughts. There are some things that I don't agree with because of Me Too and Believe All Women's movements. Again, I don't understand this take. What does that mean? There's some things that I don't agree with because of the Me Too and Believe All Women movements. I don't know. So some parents put their daughter in this situation with him, and some girls lied about their age. That's a tough one, because some girls lied about their ages. I'm sorry. There's no way to spin that except to say that you're blaming the victim of an international sex trafficking outfit. It's not really an organization, I suppose, but and again, we're gonna look at we're gonna look at the actual account in a minute here. I just kind of want to give you a flavor of some of what we're seeing here. But some parents put their daughters in the situation with him. Again, that's common. Again, the comment below is any parent that took a payoff should be in jail too. It's reasonable, but again, you're going to be hard pressed, I imagine, to prove some of this stuff, especially after all this time. Many parents should join R. Kelly in his cell, and many other names we don't know. Making one man pay is unfair. It's not unfair. If 100 people commit a crime and only one of them goes to prison, it's not unfair to the man who is convicted, because he has done the things which he is convicted of. It's not unfair. It's unfair to the victims of the 99 who got away. That's a separate argument. But to the person, to the one man in 100 who has committed a crime and is made to face the consequences of that, it's not unfair. Anyways, I'll always love R. Kelly and what he's done for R&B. I don't exactly know what that means. Full Moon says, fast mothers equal fast daughters. When accountability gets placed on the predator, however, the guardians get to play victim with the actual victim. Shame, shame, shame. Again, I don't know how much the parents knew. As far as I understand, there are no charges pending against any of the parents. R. Kelly was on trial today. So based on that, I don't really see the nature of this. Fast mothers equal fast daughters. Again, you're assuming that the mothers were involved. Again, I would love to see evidence of that. Certainly none of the parents have been charged, so it leads me to believe there either isn't, it didn't happen, or there isn't any evidence that it happened. In today's world of social media, everything is public, including intimacy. A lot of people can't claim they didn't know any better today, especially with their personal OnlyFans. Again, I don't really get this. Their personal OnlyFans. First of all, these girls certainly at the time didn't have OnlyFans, because OnlyFans didn't exist. Yeah, very bizarre. This one is normal. It's called From Truth Hurts. R. Kelly brought this on himself. He was given multiple chances to change. At the same... you had me there in the first half, bro. At the same time, females need to be held more accountable for their actions too. They cannot always play the victim card when they should have known better. And once again, they should have charged the parents firstly, and then they should have given an unrelated person more charges. I don't know. I don't know what that means. So this person here says, "Damn, I hate that. This is one of the best R&B singers that I've listened to." I don't. I mean, the music still remains. You can choose to listen to it if you like. I mean, it's just bizarre. What a waste of a successful black man. Some of us wouldn't be born without him. And again, they need to go after the parents that enabled it, all those mothers that were involved. I don't really care. I just wish everything that happened can be discussed without people being emotional, because there's something odd about women in my eyes that needs to be discussed instead of putting blame on men for everything. Again, I don't, and partly one of the reasons why my channel exists is because right now, in spaces that cater to men, there is a dangerous tendency towards hating women. And the problems, I mean, look, there's a lot of obvious problems with that, but the biggest obvious problem is that men and women, for all of our differences, and of course there are many, and they are significant. The biggest one being we have different objectives at different times, but we quite often don't know where each other are, and so we're sort of coming to each other at different points in our lives, desiring different things, but not necessarily being able or choosing to communicate that. So it creates a lot of problems. I totally get that. But when you look at this situation and then you go, instead of putting the blame on men for everything, like I don't understand this victim completely, like the victim mentality. And this is what I think is so dangerous about, the men's, everything to do with men, the manosphere, red pill, all of the like what I see the biggest problem with this stuff is that it encourages men to feel victimized. And it is very dangerous for a dominant group to feel victimized when that is not the case. Not to take anything away from what he did, but it's all symbolism and judicial grandstanding. If they're really going to go after these predators, they really need to go after them. They have no place in our society and should be treated as such across the board, regardless of their social status. Again, I don't know what that means. But it's all symbolism and judicial grandstanding. They gave him 30 years. R. Kelly's 55. He'll get out in 85. Is that symbolism? I mean, I would argue that, like, had they given him a lenient sentence, you could say, well, that's just a symbolic, maybe it's a slap on the wrist, but it's 30 years. That's not nothing when you're 55 years old. Well, frankly, that's not nothing at any point in your life, but certainly that's not nothing at 55. Here we go. James Gibson says, I would have no problem with this if the U.S. justice system was fair across the board. Everyone who commits the same crime receives the same time. This simply isn't the case. Cases are adjudicated differently based on sex and skin color. To say otherwise is foolish at best. But concerning this case, I've always had issues with the female's testimony and the way they acted while they were being held against their will. Running around in the house and playing doesn't sound like captivity to me. The ish was just fishy to me. Again, I don't understand. Like, and we saw this before, and it's like, well, I'm the believe all women, I'm concerned about female testimony. Is there any indication, for those people who are familiar with R. Kelly, him being arrested for this is the most obvious thing in the world, given his long history. Like, this isn't like, well, out of the blue, no one saw this coming. It was quite clear that R. Kelly had these particular proclivities, and certainly now that he has been arrested and charged, convicted with the crime, I don't understand. Stony Island Ranch says, I feel bad for him because a lot of the stuff is too old and unclear. The main problem I do have is he got a second chance to fly right and continued his reckless behavior. This time, no more slaps on the wrist. Well, but if you believe the second part, why are you whining about the first part? I don't really understand. I feel sorry for R. Kelly. I don't like how R. Kelly I'm just going to read this. I feel sorry for R. Kelly. I don't like how R. Kelly has become vilified for his sexual encounters with teenage girls. I feel like this person should be on a watch list. Men won't admit to this, but men are actually attracted to teenage girls the most, and that's because men are hardwired to look for youth and fertility in a woman, and nowhere is that combination more prominent than in a teenage girl. Not saying R. Kelly shouldn't be punished. Well, aren't you merciful? I'm just saying he shouldn't be vilified. Seven thumbs up. Absolute insanity. Absolute insanity. This person should be on a watch list. I'm gonna click the replies. I hope. Okay, here we go. Kwame Johnson says, what would you say if R. Kelly was your child's teacher instead of a popular entertainer? This person replies, well, I'm not saying he shouldn't be punished. I'm just saying he shouldn't be vilified. I don't know what that means. I don't know what that means. What do you like? He should be punished. Okay, so we at least agree to that. So we're not totally insane. But we shouldn't vilify him. We shouldn't say he's a bad person. We shouldn't say that what he was into was wrong and what he should have, that he is a bad person for doing bad things. But he should be punished. Well, okay. Murderers get less time. Has the Mann Act been used on anyone besides black folks? That I don't know. We're going to skip that one. It has the Hassan slur. As an adult man, touching on little girl. Yeah, okay. So, this person has put in some religious insanity. We're going to skip that as well. Once again, more conversations about the parents. What is their role? Who facilitated it? This person here feels like they've made him a public example. Yeah, I don't know if there's anything different than that we're gonna see. Let's pop over and see what all the fuss is about. So, coming to us from the good people over at the CBC in Canada, R. Kelly sentenced to 30 years in prison for sex trafficking, racketeering. R&B singer was convicted last fall of sex crimes dating back to the mid-1990s. I will give you now here the highlights. R&B star R. Kelly was sentenced to 30 years in prison Wednesday for using his superstardom to subject young fans, some of whom were children, to systemic sexual abuse. The singer-songwriter, 55, was convicted of racketeering and sex trafficking last year at a trial that gave voice to accusers who had once wondered if their stories were being ignored because they were black women. From one victim, "You made me do things that broke my spirit. I literally wished I would die because of how low you made me feel," said one unnamed survivor, directly addressing Kelly, who kept his hands folded and his eyes downcast. "Do you remember that?" she asked. Kelly did not speak at his sentencing, where he was also ordered to pay a $100,000 fine. The judge said to Kelly, "Although sex was certainly a weapon that you used, this is not a case about sex. It is a case about violence, cruelty, and control." The sentence caps a slow-motion fall for Kelly, who's adored by legions of fans and sold millions of albums even after allegations about his abuse of young girls began publicly circulating in the 90s. Widespread outrage over Kelly's sexual misconduct did not come until the Me Too reckoning, reaching a crescendo at the release of the docuseries Surviving R. Kelly. Victims have sought to be heard. One accuser said, "Victims have sought to be heard and acknowledged. We are no longer the preyed on individuals we once were." A third woman who sobbed as she spoke said, "Kelly's conviction restored her faith in the legal system. I once lost hope," she said, addressing the court and prosecutors, "but you restored my faith." The woman said Kelly victimized her after she went to a concert when she was 17. She said she didn't speak up at the time because she was afraid, naive, and didn't know how to handle the situation. So when we think about even this case, and we think about the comments that people have made and this fixation on parents and all these other people, but what about this victim here? 17 years old. She was at a concert, like many 17-year-olds go. What exactly would her parents have been able to do? 17-year-olds can't go to concerts? They have to go with the chaperone? Because R. Kelly's on the loose? R. Kelly did, obviously, his lawyers argued for a more lenient sentence because he himself experienced traumatic childhood incident, trauma involving severe and prolonged childhood abuse of a very particular nature, poverty, and violence. That is a completely reasonable thing to put forward to the jury, but it cannot be a defense. He was sued in 1997 by a woman who alleged sexual battery and sexual harassment while she was a minor. And he later faced criminal pornography charges related to a criminal child pornography, Jesus Christ, charges related to a different girl in Chicago. A jury there acquitted him in 2008 and he settled the lawsuit. All the while he continued to sell millions of records. He used his entourage of managers and aides to meet girls and keep them obedient. Prosecutors allege Kelly used his fame, money, and popularity I can never tell if it's going to be systematically or systemically. It's systematically. R. Kelly used his fame, money, and popularity to systematically prey upon children and young women for his own sexual gratification. Several accusers testified that Kelly subjected them to perverse and sadistic whims when they were underage. They were ordered to sign non-disclosure forms, subjected to threats and punishments such as violent spankings if they broke one of his rules. Some said they believed video recordings of them having sex would be used against them. Kelly gave several accusers herpes, Jesus Christ, without disclosing that he had an STD. He coerced a teenage boy to join him for sex with a naked girl who emerged underneath a boxing ring in his garage, and shot a shaming video of one victim showing her smearing feces on her face as punishment for breaking his rules. I want to go back here and read some comments again. Tyler Jacobs says, put him, the families of the young ladies, and the female family members who assaulted him when he was a young boy, and all of them should be locked up with him. He was wrong, from Uncouth Comedy says, he was wrong, no doubt, but I kind of find it weird how the Me Too movement became all about black men. Guess the birth of a nation is still going strong. Kelly gave several accusers herpes without disclosing he had an STD and shot a shaming video of one victim showing her smearing feces on her face as a punishment. Will the parents be going to prison next? The Me Too movement is all about black men. Like, what exactly, like the thing that I don't understand, like where is this position coming from? Like if black men in general, but sort of people as a whole cannot functionally say, yeah, you got to bury R. Kelly underneath the prison. You got to bury R. Kelly underneath the prison. And people keep saying Ghislaine only got 25. I'm not saying that was the correct amount. I'm not saying it's not the correct amount. But that's irrelevant. Did he actually do something besides being a creep? Please tell me someone left her decent. No, he didn't do anything illegal. Did he actually do something besides being a creep? He used his fame, money, and popularity to systematically prey upon young children and women for his own sexual gratification and subjected them to perverse and sadistic whims when they were underage. They were subjected to threats and punishments such as violent spankings if they broke one of his rules. Also, like, do I have to read out the herpes thing again? I feel like just reading it out once is sufficient for me to get my point across. But this is something that I heard. I remember being in a barber shop in Toronto when Bill Cosby's accusers came forward. And as I'm sitting there, and this Jamaican guy named Lenny was cutting my hair. Super nice guy generally. Just out of nowhere, as he's looking up on the TV, and they had a number of his victims lined up, and they were crying, giving public testimony, and my barber just, not as part of a conversation, just says, "They're lying," and I remember just being like, what a bizarre approach to this story. You're so sure they're lying. Like, you're so sure they're lying. Like, not, hey, I hope Bill Cosby gets justice. I hope the truth comes out. No, they must be lying. And it's like, but why? Why must they be lying? Another one here, again, same person. Can someone please explain to me what R. Kelly is guilty of? Some people actually left decent responses. Some asked if they're living under a rock. They said they don't understand. John Solo said those same 30 or 40 women who came forward were willing participants. They were willing participants. And in his disgusting behavior, and last time I checked, disgusting behavior is not a crime. Those two documentaries were nothing more than one-sided propaganda hit pieces used to influence a potential jury because none of that testimony would have been permitted in a court of law. Those same various... Oh, gee, I'm not going to read all this. Yeah. This is where we are. And again, where are the mothers? They need 30 years. Again, we just looked at it. The girl was 17 when she went to an R. Kelly concert. And what we're seeing here, and guys, the reason why I decided to talk about this one is because what we're seeing is this notion that, like, it's not enough to get R. Kelly. It's this sense that, like, well, okay, fine. In this case, R. Kelly's guilt is so overwhelming. Fine, I guess he's guilty. But there must be others. Where's the mothers at? Also, where are the fathers at by this time? But we just assume that, well, the fathers are off doing whatever, and the moms who participated. Like, it is a real issue. It is seriously an issue. And again, the people, the police, they do the same thing. Again, irrelevant. Just irrelevant. Yeah, I think, that's the end of it. So, thank you for sticking with me through this. I'm going to do a second video following up on the fallout from the Roe versus Wade. That is still going on. But at the end of it all, I just want to leave with this. Quite often what you will see is that there is a strong tendency to minimize the actions of men in order to vilify women. And of course, the great irony of this is exactly what many in this community say about women, is that, well, women will always minimize their own crimes, misdeeds, bad actions, and to shield themselves from accountability. And so one thing you've just always got to think about when you're looking at these stories, you're looking at these cases, it's very easy to make an emotional response. Well, hey, I like R. Kelly. I mean, look, who doesn't love Space Jam? But that isn't the point. Prosecutors produced evidence. There was no shortage of witnesses and no shortage of victims. They have certainly a long time. There's certainly a pattern of behavior. And so you can't, when you think about these things, it's important not to be a reactionary. It's super important to say, look, not everything has to be 50-50. Just because R. Kelly went to jail doesn't mean the mothers need to go to jail. Like, it is enough that R. Kelly goes to jail. And if they have evidence for other people, I hope they go to jail as well. This isn't about selective justice, which I would argue strongly is injustice. In this case, justice was served. And it's okay as men who have self-confidence, who consider themselves very strong. It's okay to say that not every man is part of the team. It's okay to kick some men off the island. Not every man, just because they happen to be a man, is trustworthy and should be given extraordinary benefit of the doubt. Some men operate poorly, and we shouldn't feel weird about that. And it's not anti-man, and it isn't a strong position to just automatically believe men. That is not the answer to believe women. And of course, and I hate that this has to be said, but believe women was never meant by serious people to mean every woman who says anything is automatically telling the truth, skip the trial. No. It's about starting with a position of belief. And the analogy I've always given is this. If I go to the police station and I say, hey, I was robbed, some guy jumped me, took my wallet, can you please investigate? I expect the cops to take the details of my story. What happened? Where were you? Did anyone see? Did you get any evidence from the guy? Did he drop anything? Did you see where he went? Did he get in a car? Did you get a plate? All these things. I expect a lot of questions. What I don't expect is, did that really happen? I think you're lying. Are you sure it wasn't a misunderstanding? I expect to be believed in the sense that means trust but verify. And that has very much been what Believe Women has been about. Start from a position of belief. Yes, of course, you have to verify. No one is suggesting we're going to throw out due process and just say, well, someone made an accusation, therefore this person goes to jail for life. No, we have to say, okay, there was an accusation. Let's look into it. What it means is you don't sweep it under the rug. What it means is you don't pretend it didn't happen or try and talk the victim out of pressing charges or coming forward with her story. It's very reasonable. As I say all the time, it's feminism, not masochism. We want to have solidarity with women because we operate on the same planet with them. This is not a war. Women are not the enemy. We have different objectives at different times, and we have to figure out how to work with that. That doesn't mean you're a simp. In fact, it's quite the opposite. But that also doesn't mean you have to find yourself reflexively defending R. fucking Kelly. And frankly, if you find yourself defending R. Kelly against charges you didn't even bother to look into, I don't know whatever the opposite of a simp is, but it's got to be that. Maybe it's just reactionary. Anyways, guys, thank you very much. I super appreciate you sticking with me. Leave a comment. Let me know what you thought. It's a slightly different format than we normally do. We're trying a couple things here. And I will see you next time. Peace.